Hi, everyone. Let's welcome Tracy Coenen today. She is the money, find me the money girl. And welcome, Tracy. So much great to have you here.
It's so great to be back. We always have good conversations. We're the Tracy and Tracy show, and I love doing it.
We are the Tracy and Tracy, but I'm Tracy what?
You are Tracy number one. I'm Tracy number two. I accept my fate.
We are in a group together for anyone who's listening, and I was there first. So whenever they have to call on someone, they have to pick who's first and who's second. So it's our little inside joke you're all part of. Today we are going to talk about money and sort of like the struggles that people have, like conversations about it, the societal shame. Like, where do we want to start with this?
Well, I love talking about love and money conversations. And so, what I mean by that is financial conversations between partners or in anticipation partners. Maybe you're single right now and you're not partnered, but someday you may be partnered. And how do we have these conversations and how do we foster more positive feelings and talks about money? As women, especially, there
Mhm.
is a lot of shame surrounding money, and we were raised that it's not polite to talk about money.
Mhm.
And so in the workplace, at what the amount of money everyone makes is secret. And yes, I believe in privacy around it if you don't want to share your money situation, but I also think that the secrecy surrounding money in the workplace leads to some inequities in pay that you may never know about. And so what I want to do is normalize having those money conversations about with our partners, with our family about what is acceptable spending. How are we planning for our financial future? What are our little vices that we have and how much are we willing to spend on and all those kinds of things? Let's make that more part of everyday conversation.
Yeah, and you and I are both in the divorce world. I coach the victims and you financially help them find the money and all the other things, right? So I think this conversation is going to help those people who have been through a divorce, right? And maybe they didn't have that partner, but these are the kind of conversations that anyone else that comes in your life, you are never going to not know where the money is again. You're going to really have a much better foundation and never give that power away, right?
Well, even if you are in the middle of divorce, let's start there. If you're in the middle of divorce, you cannot agree to financial things in your divorce until you know what has been going on with your money. And
Mhm.
so let's talk. It's time for you to start knowing more about your money so you can feel confident to stand up to your ex and say, I need this information. I need these statements. Or I got the financial information. I looked it over and now I have questions, and I'm not going to agree to anything until I have more information about what has been going on. And for some of you, I know that that is like sounding huge. And oh my gosh, that's scary. I've never before stood up to him in that regard. I've never advocated for myself. I've never even sat there and asked the hard questions and said, I need to have this information. And so I know that it might seem like a big leap from where you are now,
Mhm.
but that's where I want to start moving with things.
I love that because again, it's never too soon. It's time for people to really take a hold of this. Single, married, divorcing, wherever you are, if you don't know your own financial situation, you're gonna be blindsided. And again, there's so many risks in not understanding how your money has been spent, what you have coming if it's in a divorce, right? So how do you suggest that people start with this like wealth building and understanding all the different things about money?
It all goes back to information. So if you are in a relationship right now and you haven't been actively involved with the money,
Mhm.
now's the time to start doing it. Recognizing though that money is a hot button issue for a lot of couples, we want to approach this with the right intentions and the right tone to it. So we're not coming into a conversation saying, I've never had information and now I need it. Because that's not going to go anywhere good. Anything accusatory sounding, anything that sounds blaming is not going to be a good situation. However, what if we started with, I haven't been involved with the money, and I'm so thankful that you've been willing to take care of our budget and make sure that the bills are paid. But I think now would be a great time for me to start knowing a little bit more about where we have our money. What accounts do we have? How much is in them? What account is used to pay the mortgage or various bills? Where are we saving for our retirement? And I want to start learning about these things because God forbid something happened to you. I want to know that I have a handle on what's been going on so that I'm not left scrambling. If you're in the hospital and I'm trying to make sure that some bills get paid or something like that.
Yeah, it's absolutely so important to all of the people out there. I was just like having a flashback while you were talking about the conversations with your partner about how spending and all of those sort of things that go on. I did not have that conversation with my ex-husband. Never talked about it, right? We both had really good jobs. We both had enough money. It wasn't like, how do you spend your money? Had I known how he spent the money, life would have been different. Like he was a spend,
Right.
he would spend on things that were ridiculous and stupid. I didn't know that, right? And that when I had no job and he moved me here to Colorado, that's when it mattered. You can't go spend out $2,000 on, a new iPhone every month. I mean, it was all these things that he had to have the latest tech. He had to have all these things, but none of that was ever discussed. And so, it was okay when there was plenty of money, but when it was just one income, his spending habits were definitely a problem in the marriage because he had no control over it. And I think people need to understand, like you said, how do they, I know we just talked about how they're going to get that conversation and open the door, but what if this person doesn't want to talk to them?
Well, I was going to say, your ex, most likely, if you would have opened this door to this conversation and said, I want to start learning about the money, he probably would have gotten super defensive about it.
Mhm.
Why? Do you think I'm doing something wrong? Or you don't need to know? Or I've got it handled? Or something happens to me? We have a guy, we have a financial planner, our guy will take care of it. There is, especially if there are already problems in the marriage, there's often a lot of defensiveness surrounding it, right? So the next step when that defensiveness comes out, you have to say, I'm not thinking you're doing something wrong. I'm not trying to upset the apple cart with this. I just feel like, as an adult, as a partner in this relationship, I owe it to myself, I owe it to our family to be educated about the money. And that's why I want to start learning what's going on with our money and knowing I want to feel a little more confident. You say we have plenty of money to pay the bills, and I believe you, but I want to feel more confident. And so it is most likely going to take some pushback,
Mhm.
right? And the pushback, I think, starts out friendly. And if they keep resisting, then it moves to respectfully, I am entitled to know this. As your partner in life and marriage, I am entitled to have this information. I'm entitled to see the accounts that my name is on. Quite frankly, I'm entitled to see the accounts that my name isn't on because I need to know about our financial, our family's financial security. And so you may have to escalate it,
Mhm.
and it's about getting more confidence
Mhm.
as you're trying to escalate it.
Mhm.
Again, I recognize in many cases it's easier said than done. I've had a lot of money conversations. I'm confident about money. So it's easy for me to say, well, keep giving the pushback. But little by little, you can get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you were just talking about brought up another thing, which is the fear that many people who do not know this information have. Like the security in going, I know where it all is, I know we'll be fine, instead of going, are we okay? And what can we go on a vacation? Can we do this? Like when you know, then you have that freedom and the fear isn't there. You're like, okay, it's not freedom, it's just a sense of peace to know I know where all the eggs are and I am in agreement. We can afford that vacation. I don't feel like if we do it, then we'll struggle later. So I think an important thing to understand that the fear, as you discussed in the beginning, that many people have about money. One way to squelch that fear is to become more involved and to understand the whole picture of everything.
Right. And if you're saying to yourself, I don't even know where to begin, that's when you need to reach out and start to get some resources to help you know where to begin. So, for example, I have a free resource that I put together called Planning for Divorce.
Mhm.
And whether you're getting divorced, not getting divorced, doesn't matter. You can use the resource because it says, hey, if you want to get more information about your financial situation, here are the kinds of documents you need to start gathering. You need to start looking at bank statements. You need to start looking at tax returns, et cetera, et cetera. And so there are lots of resources out there that can help you know what questions to ask and what things to look at so you can start to build that confidence.
Yeah, and that's what we want. We want them to be confident in their own financial situation. What else do we want to tell people about these kind of money conversations?
Well, I think so. We talked about how important it is just in general to know your money situation. Let's talk about life transitions. Those are the times when it's even more important to know about your money. So, you and I talk about divorce a lot, but think about other life transitions when there is a major career change with you or your spouse.
Mhm.
Some financial things can kind of be upended a little bit. There might be, a gap in paychecks. There might be a change in retirement accounts, things like that. Those are important things to know. What if there is the death of a spouse? What if there is a cross country move that is expensive and we're establishing new bank accounts? So, all of those life transitions are times when we need to be thinking about the money even more. So, I wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. This has been a nice short conversation for people to just like start to have the conversations about money and try to let go of that fear. If you're one of those people that because you don't know, it's very nerve-wracking. The only way you're going to get more confident is to know where the money is and to understand more than you might not know now.
Right. And if you are in the process of divorce, heading towards divorce, you want to be thinking about your financial security going forward. And so that's going to involve ensuring that you have an income source of your own, that you have money of your own that is set aside, ready for you to help you
Mhm.
get through that period of time when you're in the divorce process, when finances are unsure. And then work with that financial knowledge that you have to think about how do I build financial stability for the long term for myself. If you're in divorce, you're going to have to start thinking about budgeting. What is your budget going to be like after divorce?
Mhm.
Where is your income going to come from? Are you going to get child support and alimony? If you are, great. But let's think about what if those would stop for some reason. Your ex decides to stop paying. Your ex passes away. Something happens. They end up no longer working because they become disabled. So things can change. And so we want to take that into account when we're thinking about that budget. What is our income looking like? And then what are our expenses going to look like down the road? And
Mhm.
how do we one day retire? And I work mostly with women in divorce,
Mhm.
and that retirement issue is a huge issue for them. A lot of the women I work with are thinking, I might never be able to retire. I might have to work the rest of my life just to be able to get by. And so we want to start working on budgets and thinking about how could we create some wealth for the future so that we could feel like we could retire one day.
Yeah, and that's the goal for everyone to just have that confidence and lack of fear of, I too have those clients that are just so afraid of the future because it's unknown. There's so many factors in a divorce and splitting assets and all that stuff. So this has been great conversation. How do people find out more information about you, Tracy?
Well, they can find me all over the place on social media. I'm Divorce Money Guide. My website is divorcemoneyguide.com. Or if they're interested in getting that planning for divorce resource to help them start learning more about their financial situation, kind of getting a handle on their finances, they can go to planningfordivorce.com. All they got to do is put in their email address and they'll get a free download.
And even if they're not divorcing, they can still use this, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining me today, Tracy. This has been so helpful. I will put your contact information down below, and I hope everyone reaches out for that free guide.
Thank you for having me.